Hi guys, hope you're doing good. This is Pratishta, your IELTS tutor, and in this session, we are going to be looking at some of the reading techniques. Majorly, this time we'll be focusing on the main ideas. So it is really essential to know what the text is about, right? That is primarily one of the, I would say, biggest things that you should know when you are reading any text. So, with that being said, let us take a look at what are we going to do today, right? What are our goals? And then let's get to reading immediately. So, I'll share my screen, and this says that we'll focus on techniques for identifying the main ideas and key details in IELTS, right? We will take a look at the reading of complex text and answering some related questions related, of course, related to it. We'll develop strategies to quickly locate important information again through skimming and scanning. We'll work on improving reading comprehension and time management in general. So, what is the structure of an IELTS reading passage? Again, just like any other essay, it has an intro, some body paragraphs, and conclusion. That is, again, like we usually have, right? We have an intro, we have body paragraphs, and we have some conclusions as well. So, sorry about that. So, again, it would be the same thing, same exact aspect, right? Just like we write an essay, we have to expect that this is the kind of reading also that we are going to get. Now, some strategies are skimming, right? So we are going to skim through the overall text. We are going to focus on the topic sentences, right? So we will focus on the topic sentences. We will look at the first sentence of each paragraph to identify the main point that you know what it is going to talk about, right? We look for any pattern that is there, right, for repetition. So we will focus on repetition as well. We will use headings too, right? So sometimes there are headings, sometimes there are not. If there are not, we will just focus on creating one of our own. For identifying key details, right? When I talk about details, now this was just like main idea, identifying main idea. For main idea, we just skim through it. Skimming is basically reading in speed. Key details is more of a scanning thing, right? So we'll scan for keywords. We'll look for specific words or phrases that relate to question or topic, right? We'll pay attention to numbers, dates, and names, right? So again, looking at numbers, dates, and names are important because sometimes you can get questions based on that. Then we'll focus on supporting evidence. So again, we need to see that if this claim has been made, if this is the main idea, how is it being supported, right? And we will try to avoid any kind of unnecessary information, right? So that there should be no unnecessary information that we are focusing on. We'll try to avoid that. So now we are just going to go ahead and read, right? We are going to talk about the main argument and the key details, right? So we will just focus on a little bit of that. But before we go, we need to see that there is time management, which is one of the biggest things when it comes to reading. So time management is super important. Again, I have already talked about this, but allocate only 20 minutes per passage, right? Do not go beyond it. If you feel you're going beyond, leave it, move to the next one, try to complete that. Then whenever, whatever time you have left, come back and then try to give your best judgment. Skim first, then read. First of all, just skim, speed read, right? And then read it properly if necessary according to the question, right? So that you save time. You would know that what paragraph has what information. And then if you have a question based on it, you go to that paragraph and then you sort of try and, see that what is that key detail you're looking for in that particular paragraph. Don't get stuck. If you feel you're unsure about something, I would suggest to move on, complete all the other questions first, and then come back. Review if time permits. Make sure you have at least 2 to 3 minutes to review, right? And if you just review it in general, also, it is always a better thing, right? Reviewing your answers is always a great thing. If you have time, make sure you're reviewing. I would say that there are some common mistakes as well, right? Some common mistakes to avoid would be misinterpreting the main idea. So don't focus too much on supporting details with the main idea. Focus on the big picture. Again, look at the text in an overall vision, right? Not just the details. Overlooking key details. Again, key details are important, not every random detail, right? So only key details are important. Spending too much time on one question. While it is important to complete the answers, I would suggest there should be a time limit for every question, right? Do not spend a lot of time, right? Your time should not be more than 1.5 minutes on each question. Overthinking. Most of the answers are pretty direct and straightforward. Do not overthink, do not assume, and do not infer by yourself. Okay, so let us go ahead and read the passage that we had to read. Okay, so this passage is the meaning and power of smell. The sense of smell or olfaction, right? Or again, the meaning has been given right here. Meaning of olfaction is the sense of smell. That's all. It's just given right there, right? So the sense of smell or olfaction is powerful. Odors affect us on physical, psychological, and social level. For the most part, however, we breathe in the aromas which surrounds us without being consciously aware of the importance to us. It is only when the faculty of smell is impaired for some reason that we begin to realize the essential role the sense of smell plays in our sense of well-being. So again, it highlights importance of smell, right? What is the importance of smell? A survey conducted by Anthony Synott at Montreal's Concordia University asked participants to comment on how important smell was to them in their lives. So again, it's just talking about how a survey was conducted about the importance of smell. It became apparent. Now, this information is not really that essential. It just talks about a survey that was conducted. What essential could be here is what was the findings. It can evoke small emotional responses, right? It means that smell can have emotional responses. A scent associated with a good experience can bring a rush of joy, while a foul odor or one associated with a bad memory may make us grimace with disgust. Respondents to the survey noted that many of their olfactory likes and dislikes were based on emotional association, right? So again, it's talking about that smell is equal to emotions. Right? Such associations can be powerful enough so that odors that we would generally label unpleasant become agreeable, and those that we would greatly consider fragrant become disagreeable for particular individuals. The perception of smell, therefore, consists not only of the sensation of the odors themselves, but of the experiences and emotions associated with them. Right? So, smell equals to emotions and experience. Right? So, we can say that. Then odors are also essential cues in social bonding. Now this is going to be about social bonding, how we socialize, how we bond. So again, I can just talk about bonding here. One respondent to the survey believed that there is no true emotional bonding without touching and smelling a loved one. In fact, infants recognize the odors of their mother soon after birth, and adults can often identify their children or spouse by scent. In one well-known test, women and men were able to distinguish by smell. Now, this is an example, right? An example, a stat. Worn by their marriage partners from similar clothing worn by other people. Most of the subjects would probably never have given much thought to odor as a cue for identifying family members before being involved in the test. But as the experiment revealed, even when not consciously considered, smells register, right? So again, this would mean that these smells are pretty much registered in your brain, and that is how you bond with others, right? Your personal bondings. In spite of its importance to our emotional and sensory life, smell is probably the most undervalued senses in many cultures, right? So we will say undervalue. The reason often given for the low regard in which smell is held is that, in comparison with its importance among animals, the human sense of smell is feeble and underdeveloped, right? The human sense of smell. So, undervalued is because it's underdeveloped. I don't know, I'm not able to write with my pen. Let's see if I can write with this better. Yeah. Yeah, because it's undervalued, because it's underdeveloped. There, right? So it is pretty much underdeveloped. That is what it is saying. While it is true that the olfactory powers of humans are nothing like as fine as those possessed by certain animals, they are still remarkably acute. Our noses are able to recognize thousands of smell and to perceive odors which are present only in extreme small quantities. So again, it says they are pretty important, right? Human beings have great sense of smell, but it's just that it's still a little bit undervalued because it's not that developed, right? As compared to, let's say, the smelling capacity of a dog or animals, right? They are more developed. So I would suggest that like, let's focus on these three passages, and this is what is this is what skimming is, right? So the first paragraph is an introduction paragraph. Through this paragraph, the introductory one, we can tell that this passage is going to be about the importance of smell. In the first paragraph, we learned that smell equals to emotions and experiences, right? So it relates to emotions, it relates to certain experiences. Then we talked about bonding, how human beings form bonding, how infants form bonding. And we also did, like, we looked at a small study or a small research. Then we also talk about the undervalued sense in many cultures, right? Yeah, I think, yeah, that is pretty much it. We said that still the sense of smell in human beings is a little bit undervalued. And that is pretty much it. I mean, that is almost half of the essay. But we now know, if we have some kind of questions related to it, we would now know that where to find a certain information. Now, this is something that I did slow because I was also explaining a little bit. But when you start doing it by yourself, when you start scanning it, you would see that it's pretty easy. You will be able to do it like real quickly, right? So with that being said, I would go back to the review again. Yeah. Okay. So what you can do is you can try to read one of these passages, probably this one, and you can try and summarize the information. So summarizing is basically you read all of this and then you try to write it in your own words. You try to paraphrase it, right? And this activity will help you improve your ability to summarize main ideas and extract key information. Recap of today's lesson is that we reviewed some strategy for identifying main ideas, which we did through skimming, and key details, which we did through scanning. In IELTS, we practice reading academic passages and answering related questions, right? So we went through some academic passages and we did go through some related questions as well. We discussed time management techniques, right? And some common mistakes to avoid. So again, time is super important when it comes to reading because you get very limited set of time and it seems like, that it can go on forever because it's written and it's in with like not on the spot on, not does not have a restricted it's not controlled by someone else, it's controlled by you. It's not like an audio that will go on for whatever time the audio is, right? This depends on you. So don't waste a lot of time. I would suggest don't get stuck on a lot of things. And that is how probably you can manage time. For homework also, I would suggest that read news articles, read academic passages, read variety of texts so that that what kind of text will come, and then again focus on paraphrasing it, focus on writing the summary of it. I mean, with that all being said, I think reading should now be a little bit better for you. Again, it's just two things. Skimming, first of all, that should be your first thing, writing a little bit about what this paragraph has, what this paragraph does not have. And after that, moving forward and going on looking at the details and the key details, not like any sort of random details. So, with that being said, that is all about reading comprehensions, and I hope to see you in the next session.